Coming up, a disease is causing major problems for an Eastern Kentucky animal shelter.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. An animal shelter in Eastern Kentucky is not taking in animals or even adopting them out after a breakout of an airborne virus at the shelter. The Laurel County Animal Shelter says they are treating cases of distemper. It is a contagious and serious disease that attacks the respiratory and nervous system in dogs. As Chad Hedrick explains, other animal rescues are asking for help as they help the shelter.
The gate to the Laurel County Animal Shelter is locked, and the sign posted explains why, as the shelter treats cases of distemper.
Here recently, a lot of places are showing distemper signs. A lot of places are shut down for distemper.
It's a deadly virus in dogs that spreads easily.
If I had distemper and I'm staying close to you, you can get it. It's kind of like COVID.
Patricia Shelton is the animal rescue coordinator for Kentucky Paws Rescue Team, a nonprofit that takes in animals in the region. She is expecting an influx in need, with the county animal shelter temporarily shutting down intake.
So my first reaction was start calling people to get help so that I can help them.
Right now, Patricia is trying to make room to cover the next month.
It's a passion. If you don't have passion for animals, you can't do it. You just can't. There's no way. You have to have a love. You have to have patience. You have to have the heart.
While Patricia is answering the call to help, she's hoping others will as well. She's needing supplies, food, crates, and monetary donations to prepare to meet the needs that keep her up at night.
There's already so many in need, and they can't take any more, and they don't have nowhere to put them. And it just is a lot.
A concerning time of keeping pups healthy and safe. In Laurel County, Chad Hedrick, WYMT Mountain News.
The animal shelter says per state and local guidance, adoptions and intake will not resume until May 25th. We will have contact information and ways you can help the rescue group in this story on WYMT.com. Crack open the dictionary, look up the word average. Next to it, you'll see a picture of our day today. Yes, it was right around where we should be for this time of year in a rather pleasant Wednesday afternoon. Low to middle 70s, or at least low 70s. 72 is where we should be this time of year. Some upper 60s smattered about, but otherwise pretty good shape out there. Not nearly as cool tonight as we have been the past few nights as we look at those temperatures outside right now. Into the upper 40s in some spots, but many of us holding on to the 50s at this hour. Your forecast first in the morning. Your frosted weather weeds pour in your bowl. I'm more of a cereal before milk guy, but who's to say how you do it at your house? Near 50 as we wake up in the morning with those clouds on the increase. And if you are headed out maybe for that morning run, we're going to have to keep an eye on the rain, especially past midday and into the early hours of tomorrow afternoon. Steve, I'll have the details on when the rain moves in, back out, and when the cooler air moves in just a few minutes. All right, Evan, thank you. We're getting a look at the damage caused by a recent wildfire at Natural Bridge State Park. The fire burned for 1 week and it scorched 125 acres of land. U.S. Forest officials say arson may be the cause of the fire. The park will resume normal operations on Friday, and people say they are grateful for the first responders who battled the blaze.
Basically, the fire was contained using hand crews. We had assistance of aerial resources for some water drops, but actual containment line was hand dug by hand tools and rakes.
Trails will also open on Friday except for the Balanced Rock and Hood's Branch trails, which will remain closed so crews can repair wooden steps burned by the wildfire. The Hazard Fire Department will be out throughout the city conducting fire hydrant tests from now until Sunday, May 7th. Those with the Hazard Fire Department say these tests are done for insurance rating purposes. The better the city's water system is, the better insurance rating those in Hazard will receive. These tests also help firefighters become better prepared for emergencies.
In a particular neighborhood, we can tell by our test records what kind of water supply we have, if we need to call for additional resources or or find additional resources in the area to supply more water if we need to.
Until fire hydrant tests are completed, firefighters ask that everyone check their water, especially before doing laundry, since the tests can cause water to become discolored, which can sometimes stain clothing. Kentucky is the last state in the South without a state-sponsored search and rescue program. But as we've reported recently, that's about to change. WYMT's Keaton Hall caught up with the deputy chief of a local search and rescue team to get their reaction.
It's been a busy spring for the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team.
So we've had obviously some of the nice weekends. People want to get out, and those are the busy weekends. Already this week we've had 5. The 5th one was today, so it's been a bit busy for us.
On Wednesday, Governor Beshear signed a plan into law to create a state-sponsored search and rescue program. Michael Hackett, deputy chief of the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team, hopes the program will support their operations and improve future disaster responses.
It's really nice that that's been coming along for the last 2 years for the lobbying, and since those floods happened last year and a couple other rescues that have happened, it has kind of set in like the keystone of what we need for the politicians to kind of see, yeah, this might be something we need.
In the meantime, Wolfe County Search and Rescue is improving their response with some vertical hoist training.
This is a team that we've been putting together for about 4 or 5 years with the KSP, since they have a hoist capability on their Huey. We are training today to upgrade our normal hoist rescue to vertical hoist rescues, and then moving on into Swiftwater, which will be later this year.
Training which could help them in future rescues.
To be more prepared, and the more training you can get, the more prepared you are, the more experience you get to make everybody safer.
Now the next step in the process, officials will look to hire someone to run the state-sponsored program. In London, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
After an agreement with the Daniel Boone National Forest, Hackett's team will now be able to use their hoist training in the Clifty Wilderness area of the Red River Gorge, something they say is the first of its kind for a wilderness area in the southeast. Governor Andy Beshear says the federal government will help hundreds of homeowners impacted by natural disasters in 2021. The governor announced the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development will allocate $123 million to help rebuild. It will go to hundreds of people devastated by the December 2021 tornadoes in West Kentucky, as well as some 2021 flooding victims in eastern Kentucky. It's expected the money could lead to 600 new homes in the affected areas.
We're going to spread the wealth to those who need it the most. If you are someone who is impacted, I'd encourage you to reach out to your local nonprofit housing partners or your local housing authority about the disaster recovery program.
Applications for the assistance will start on May 1st. Governor Beshear says the process is underway to get help to victims of last summer's flooding in eastern Kentucky. The trial for Breathitt County Judge Executive Jeff Noble is underway. He's accused of using county money for personal use. Noble was indicted back in 2019 on charges of buying lumber with county money, theft by unlawful taking, abuse of public trust, and official misconduct. Earlier today in court, a witness who used to work for the state says Noble also mishandled money that was supposed to be used for roads. She also claims that Noble bullied her before she was not rehired in 2019. The attacks continued between the two perceived frontrunners for the Republican nomination for governor. A PAC supporting Daniel Cameron has started an anti-Kelly Craft website, which labels the former UN ambassador Oklahoma Kelly. It references her ties to Oklahoma, saying she did not vote in Kentucky's 2019 Republican primary and noting she made campaign contributions from a home in Oklahoma. Kraft's campaign has called her a lifelong Kentuckian, and the Herald Leader reports Kraft has been registered to vote in Lexington since 1991. The Kraft camp sent out mailers attacking Cameron, calling him hand-picked by the establishment. It also compares Cameron to Democratic Governor Andy Beshear and notes the two worked at the same law firm. Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles has launched his first television ad, which is largely introductory. It touts his right to life and NRA endorsements, and speaking on camera, Quarles says, quote, "If you want a governor who thinks like you because he was raised like you, he would be honored to have your vote."
Quarles has held on to most of the money he raised so he can spend it in the closing 2 weeks of the race. The primary is May 16th, with early voting starting the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before that. A traffic stop for speeding led to much more than a ticket for one woman in Letcher County. Jenkins police stopped her on Mountain Breeze Road. Following the stop, the officer who conducted it called for the department's K-9 unit. During the search of the car, police found meth, a gun, and other drugs. During a search of the trunk, officials say they found a lockbox with at least 1 pound of meth, fentanyl, and other drugs. The driver, who was not identified, was also found with more than $600 in cash. The driver was arrested on multiple drug charges and taken to the Letcher County Jail. 2 people are charged in connection to a Southern Kentucky murder. Police say 54-year-old Roscoe Garland was reported missing from McCreary County in October of 2022. Detectives found the skeletal remains of Garland on a service road in Whitley County yesterday. Officials confirmed 48-year-old Joe Bryant and 24-year-old Broderick Taylor were arrested and charged with murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Catherine Abby McKinney was sentenced to 12 years after she pleaded guilty to manslaughter, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. These charges are in connection to the death of 4-year-old Serenity McKinney back in 2020. In February 2022, Kentucky State Police found Serenity's body inside a suitcase in a wooded area near the Jefferson-Bullitt County line. The family gave victim impact statements today in court and later shared their thoughts and feelings about the sentence.
There is no closure. There's, like I said before, no amount of time will ever be justice enough. I'm just taking it 1 second at a time. Just trying to breathe. Because every time we come back to this courtroom, it's like losing Serenity all over again.
McKinney was offered a plea deal to get her to testify against her boyfriend, Dakota Hill, who is also charged in the case. Hill is scheduled to appear in court in June. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, a Central Kentucky woman is looking for help as she plans a giveaway in Hazard this weekend.
And I've got the very latest on the return of rain showers to the forecast and whether today's slightly milder air sticks with us in the long run. Coming up.